All right, we're going to go over how to inspect a panel. So here we have a main panel right here, and we have a sub panel right here. So we'll start with the main panel. The first thing we're going to do is just get an overview of it. You have your main feed coming in right here, and it's 200 amps. So you look at the wire size, you know it's 200 amps right here. You want to check right here, make sure this breaker is 200 amps. It's the first thing to look for. Then we're going to check the connection of the service feeds going in, make sure there's antioxidant, there's no corrosion or overheating. And as we come down, we're just going to go and look at the breakers. So the first thing I'm going to do is just look and see if there's any double lug breakers or double lug neutrals. And you see right there, there's some double lug neutrals and also double lug neutrals and grounds, which we can't have. And just go down this side and then over on that side, looking forward and making sure any of the breakers are double lugged. The next thing we're going to do is check the breaker size and the wire size. So you got 40 amp here, make sure it's the 40 amp wire. And you got 20 amp, 15 amp down here. Anytime a house is occupied, we're not going to activate an AFCI. That's only if it's not occupied. We don't know what they have connected to that. We don't want to kill power to that breaker. 15 amp, and then you got your double 60 amp right here. Always got to make sure that when there's a double 60 to 240, there's a tie. This means one breaker connected. So if one breaker tripped, they both would trip. And then on this side, we have the 80 amp breaker, and that is feeding the sub panel. Coming back up, checking the wire size, making sure the breakers are the right breakers for the manufacturer. You can't put other types of breakers in other manufacturers. Make sure those are correct. The next thing we're going to do is check the neutrals and grounds on that side. See if they're double lugged or neutral and grounds are together. Check for any overheated wiring, melting wiring. That can happen a lot with double lug neutrals. We want to check that. We have our ground here. Take it back to ground. And then the next thing we want to look at is we have an 80 amp breaker comes over right here. So that's the main breaker for this sub panel. Basically the same thing with the sub panel. The one thing we got to remember with the sub panel is the neutrals right there and the grounds right there have got to be separated. So you can see this bar that connects right there, that neutral bar, this bar right here connects them together. That means they're not separated. They should have taken that off and been completely separated. Sometimes what you'll see is this bar right here is attached to the actual panel and the grounds are on it. So neutrals and grounds always have to be separated, so we'll call that out. Again, just look at the breakers, make sure they're the right type of breakers, make sure they're the right size, no double lug neutrals, no double lug breakers, or neutrals and grounds. Look up here, we want to make sure there's no open knockouts. Everything is properly there. So that is really the overview of the electrical panel. Again, this is our main panel, our sub panel right here. We'll go put everything back on, make sure all the breakers are labeled properly for the new client. This panel looks pretty good, and that is the overview. Outside, we would do the exterior part of the electrical inspection, look at the meter, make sure it's grounded, either it's overhead wires or laterals coming in.